Dr. Greta Gutman was likely based off of real-life psychologist and researcher Dr. Herta Herzog. Dr. Herzog was trained as a psychologist in Vienna, but then emigrated to the United States as a refugee in the 30s. So Herzog, she joined what was called, and I thought this was really cool. She joined what was called the Radio Project in the 40s, in the 30s and 40s. And basically, she did research on people's reaction, mainly women's reactions, to radio programming. She was part of the team that conducted the research on the Orson Welles 1938 broadcast of the War of the Worlds, where
Okay.
people thought that it was a real alien
Real.
invasion
Yeah.
happening. Um, and she posted that study called "The Invasion from Mars." What she's most noted for is called "What Do We Really Know About Daytime Serial Listeners?" And basically, it was surveying housewives about why they listen to radio soap operas. Okay. And she found some really amazing conclusions, which I just want to share because Herzog alludes to three main types of gratification for listening to soap operas. Listening as emotional release. Herzog highlighted that the radio programs offered listeners emotional stimulus and opportunities for emotional release. So, crying and being excited, basically, they weren't allowed to do that in other areas of their life. So, they could release these emotions through their soap opera listening,
Okay.
and get it out of their system. So that's definitely fascinating to me. Um, Listening as a means of remodeling one's drudgery. So, of course, talking about the white housewife and how, they were doing the same thing day after day. And Herzog suggested that listeners tend to fictionalize themselves in order to be able to experience what is occurring in the radio program. So, all these exciting storylines, these, housewives were able to kind of inject themselves into that sensational storyline instead of their average everyday life of laundry and babies. And then the third point that she found was uh, listening for recipes making for adjustment. Herzog highlighted that the radio program offered listeners an ideology by which they can look at their own situation. So listening provides them with an ideology to be applied in the appraisal of the world in which they actually surround themselves with. That the radio program offered a listener a remedy to confront their very own problems. And again, that's just fascinating.